Today's a new episode of What's in Stock. We're going to be talking about Utility, which is one of the Ableton stock plugins that I used to never use and now I use on every single one of my tracks. It's the plugin that I use the most, I think, out of all of the stock plugins in Ableton. But first, I know things are kind of hard with COVID-19 all over the world. People are kind of going crazy, so I hope that you're doing good. Hope your family's doing good. Hope you're staying safe. And well, it's a good time to just stay at home and work on your music and get better in Ableton. And so if you have any questions, just send me an email. The link is in the description below, or hit me a comment or a DM on Instagram. And I'd be more than happy to answer you and to help you out. I got a lot more time here at home in the studio. And yeah, so also I'm taking time to create some sound packs for the producers out there. I also have a bunch of artist friends that are alone at home and they don't really know what to do, getting bored, so I'm making a bunch of beats for them to download for free. Same for the sample packs. All of the sample packs are available on my Patreon for free, so the link is on the bottom. If you don't know what Patreon is, there's a little video down there that'll tell you a little bit how it works, but everything is free. There's no worries about it, so just have fun with some of the sounds. I'm gonna be also doing some melody loops so we can do some collabs and stuff like that. So yeah, check all that. In this today, we're gonna be using some of the loops that I've made, and just to give you a little taste of what's going on. So best of luck and stay safe, and let's get straight to it. What's in stock? Utility. So this is how the utility looks inside of Ableton. So the first stops are these two buttons up here, which allow you to invert the phases of the left channel or the phase of the right channel, or both of them. So it's pretty cool if you want to do some single out some acapellas or for some sound design tricks. It's pretty fun to use. Down below here we have what we're playing with. So we have whatever audio signals coming through, you're going to hear it out as a stereo. You can also isolate just the left channel. You can isolate just the right, or flip it. Flip the stereo signal, flip the right side and the left side, and just hear how that sounds. So it's pretty cool just to kind of play around with it, feel what you get. Right underneath is the width knob. So this is going to allow you either to, if you drop it down, you're going to have a pure mono signal, and if you pull it all the way up, you're gonna have only the stereo signal coming through. So this is used actually like a stereo imager, so you can, if your synths are lacking a little bit of stereo width, you can kind of boost it with this one, which is pretty cool. If you right click on this knob, you can also go to mid side mode, which this is gonna allow you to select only the mid or the side of your audio channel, whatever you want to hear. If you only want to hear the sides, if you only want to hear what's straight down the middle. Next is the mono button. This is what I use the most, and I'm going to show you some tricks in how I use the utility in most of my tracks. Then you have this button that allows you to take only the bass frequency and turn that into mono signal. So whatever is underneath this frequency right here, whatever is underneath 120 hertz, you can turn that into mono. You can hear what you're filtering out using the little headphone button here, same as in the EQ and all, and whenever you're sidechaining in the compressor and stuff like that, you have that same option here. So then you also have the gain and the balance. So the gain is going to allow you to play around with the levels, which you can boost pretty high, all the way up to 35 dB, and the balance to kind of take care of the panning of your audio signal. You have the mute button that takes care of just muting your track, which is pretty cool. And now let me show you some of the examples that I use utility for and the most, and pretty much on every single one of my tracks. So the first thing that I do usually is I have the utility directly on my master channel. So this is gonna help me kind of reference and kind of see how the entire track sounds in mono. So I have this mono switch turned on. Let's hear to the track first. So these are two loops of mine. There's a little drum loop and a little melody loop. For you guys, that's available on the Patreon. So if you want to download it, it's entirely free. The link is at the bottom below. And yeah, just to have fun with it while we're all locked up in our houses. So here's the track. Now let's turn on our mono and see how it goes. So if I start playing, if I start panning the synth, for example, so this is really useful when you are mixing and you want to make sure that your instruments don't disappear in mono, because especially if you're an electronic producer, and most of your music is going to be played in clubs, and clubs systems usually have a mono signal. So if your track is too wide in stereo, the lead might disappear, or your crazy stereo effects that you did, you won't hear it, you won't notice it, and it's gonna kind of ruin your mix in mono. So I always like to, once I'm done with the track, to kind of check it in mono, see how it sounds, and make some little tweaks here and there to make it pop out more. So that's one thing that I use with the utility. A next trick that I use is, for example, beat breaks. So if I want to chop out a part of the sound, for example, I'm gonna cut out this. Let's do this. Let's see how it is. Have those little breaks, and you're playing with MIDI notes, not just an audio signal. You see how clean that cut is. It's just a pure blank. If you're using MIDI notes, or if you have a hard 808 that's really rolling and dragging out, this is gonna be super useful for you. So let me just put a delay real quick so that you guys can see kind of what I mean by that. So let's just tweak that real quick. Lower this here, not too much. Feedback a little less, this here. So while I was recording the video, I realized that the GoPro stopped filming halfway through the tips. So I'm gonna redo some of the tips and I'm gonna show you right now. So don't, just to justify that I wore the same shirt, my hair is different, everything's different, the angle might be different, but fuck it. So I just added the delay on this guy. This is how it sounds. So we can still hear that delay in the blank. So what I do is I usually add a utility onto the track. This could be your bass 808 track or any other track. And I use the utility to automate anything that I need to automate instead of using these functions right here that's on your track channel. So for this, for instance, for example, I want to mute the delay during this little blank period right here. So then we have a perfect blank spot. So this is a really cool thing that I use a lot, especially on rolling 808s or things like that. And I do a beat chop and I want it to be pure silence and I don't have just the audio file to cut it out. I use this a lot on most things. Now, another cool trick, once you've done mastering your entire track, an extra cool thing that I like to do that is still linked with automating any basic functions is just playing with the gain and the general volume of the track to make the chorus hit harder. So I would lower the verses maybe 2 dBs less than the original track, and then when the chorus hits, bring it back to that full volume. It's a very slight change, but it does make a huge difference. So for example, what I need to do is add a utility onto the master track, turn it on, and let's automate the gain. So let's say that this section here is the chorus, so I'm going to leave that at 0 dB. But right before, during the blink, actually, I'm going to automate this section to be at -2. So a good way to be a little bit more precise is holding shift and dragging it down. Let's go all the way to 217. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And let's play this. And let's see if it hits harder. A little bit harder, but if you have a massive chorus, it just sounds so much better. And yeah, those are the 3 little tricks that I use utility for. I use it for a lot more things. So be safe. Much love from Hawaii, and peace out.